Hey, let's rip the Band-Aid off quickly. ITRH will officially stop airing new podcast episodes on May 27th of 2019. The last episode of the podcast will be episode number 300. There's a but we'll cover a few obvious questions first. Why is this happening? As many of you may have guessed, my wife and I are working on starting a family. Finally, as our friends and family tell us. I've also decided to go back to school after an 18-year hiatus that started in the fall of 2018. I'm not going to discuss which university because, well, hashtag I don't need problems. Anyway, here's what triggered all this. Some sizable personal blows and changes rocked our family this past year. This is part of what influenced many of these decisions. To start, roughly a year ago, towards the end of last season, my dad died. I'm not going to get deep into things, but it was the result of a freak accident that happened about 20 minutes after he and my mother retired. The universe has a very strange sense of humor sometimes, as it turns out. Shortly after that, our rescued Weimaraner Daisy suffered kidney failure. There were a few other things that happened, but those were the big ticket things, and we can skip the country song in the making here. That poor tractor never saw it coming. What does this have to do with the podcast? Here is where taking a long, hard look at things and setting adult priorities gets in the way. The hours in a week come up short if I keep producing ITRH podcast while working, raising kiddos, and finishing a degree I put on hold many moons ago. The show requires a minimum of 8 hours a week to produce, sometimes more if the guest has a bad case of, hey look, a squirrel. Or if I had a bad case of, hey look, a zombie platypus. And I've spent the last year trying to figure out how to bring the production time down to an hour. The solution never materialized. The show also operates at a little over break even. Some people think I make money doing this. I don't really. I make the podcast because I love doing it and I feel it's a benefit to people who want the information. My wife volunteers her time with the causes she feels are worthwhile. And I hang out with you wacky folks. Ultimately, the spin down is a hard and emotional decision for us. Believe it or not, even my wife is sad about this. The bunny, as ITRH is referred to around the fort, is a large part of our lives and has been for 9 years. She tried to talk me out of it, but then quickly saw the decision was something that just had to be made. What will happen to the Armada? Well, the Armada will continue with some twists. They were informed a few months ago and given an option to leave the group or stick around for something a little different. Either way, they were all taken care of in a way that honored the support they'd shown the show. I'd closed the Armada to new members, and we came to an arrangement about how the merry band of apocalypse pirates would continue on. So, they're taken care of in a way that made 99.9% of them happy, minus the podcast going away, of course. What else does the future hold? Anything new I put out will go on YouTube. For reasons that are unimportant to the purpose of this announcement, it's just easier to deal with. The big one is if you subscribe and hit the bell, you'll know when new videos come out. Podcasts aren't so helpful if a show goes on a less than consistent schedule, especially Apple. So kind of like to turn things off. I'd also like to focus on producing shorter and more actionable information. Video supports that mission better. So, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring the bell now. What else does the future hold? Honestly, I'm not sure. This isn't the kind of thing you're supposed to tell an audience, but I feel like we kind of know each other after all these years. I simply don't know yet. My priorities were to take care of the Armada and go out on episode number 300. As we get into the summer of 2019, I'll have a better idea of what's possible. I'll need to get through this semester and the remaining episodes I'm committed to making. There will be something. I'm just not certain exactly what it is or how often it will happen. In other words, we'll see where the road takes us. No matter what comes next, I want to say thank you. Thank you for listening, watching, commenting, or sending me messages about how the show helped you. I put a lot of time, energy, and money into making this for y'all. Thank you to the haters. Sometimes y'all actually point something out I've missed, even if you say it in a really crappy way. Or sometimes you just make me laugh, remember how simple-minded some people are. A special thank you to the Armada. Y'all really did help keep the lights on, offered helpful ideas and ways to improve the show, and even brightened some dark days, even when y'all didn't know what was going on. And an extra special thank you to my wife for putting up with all these shenanigans for the last 9 years. I don't know how she did it. I would have killed me. If you're listening or watching this close to when it originally airs, you've still got some episodes to come. Don't miss them. If you're listening or watching this in the future, there are 300 more episodes. Go get them. We put a lot of stuff out there. With that, we wrap up this special announcement from the Lone Star State. Till next time, stay safe and sound.